Does Novak Djokovic still have it in him to compete for a Grand Slam title? This is a question that tennis fans, analysts, and perhaps even Djokovic himself is starting to ask with more urgency. The first serious questions were raised after Novak Djokovic's early exit from the Madrid Masters in 2025. For the first time in his career, Djokovic is openly acknowledging what used to be unthinkable, that his goals at tournaments are no longer titles, but survival. This is a new reality for me, to come to a tournament and think it's good to win 1 or 2 matches, instead of thinking about reaching the final like I've done for more than 20 years, Djokovic said after his loss to Matteo Arnaldi. For me, it's a serious mental challenge that I have to deal with such feelings on the field. His tone was honest, even vulnerable. He admitted he no longer expects to dominate, and that this adjustment is not easy. In these 20 years, what has happened to me in the last 12 months has never happened before, he said. But it's all part of sport. I accept that the circumstances are like that, and I try to get the best out of them. Djokovic still finds joy in competition. I feel nervous and stressed. I feel excitement when I go out on the field. I still enjoy the competition, he said, emphasizing that the hunger hasn't disappeared, but the rewards have become harder to reach. A lot has changed in my shots, in my body, in my movement. He even hinted that his time in Madrid may be coming to an end. This might be my last tournament in Madrid. I'm not sure if I'll ever come back. Of course I'll come back, but maybe not as a player. I hope it's not like that, but it could be. Through it all, Djokovic remains grounded. I guess that's the way it is. It's the circle of life and career. We knew this would happen. I'm trying to use it as a trigger, he said. And while his full focus is now on Grand Slams, even those no longer come with guarantees. I don't know if I'll be able to play at the best level at Roland Garros, but I'll definitely do my best. Since then, the questions about his future grew larger and larger. Can he ever compete for another Grand Slam? And for most of his career, the answer would have been a resounding yes, almost bordering on ridicule for even asking. But after his straight sets defeat to Jannik Sinner in the 2025 Wimbledon semifinal, that certainty is beginning to unravel. For the first time since 2017, he fell short on reaching the final. But this wasn't just another loss. It wasn't a blip or an off day. It felt like a moment of transition, the kind of moment we only recognize fully in hindsight. It was not about tactics or shot selection. It was about the limits of the human body and whether even the greatest can escape them. From the moment Djokovic stepped onto center court for that semifinal, something felt different. There was no energy in his legs, no menace in his gaze, no spark in his game. He had suffered a fall in the previous match, and while he downplayed the details, the consequences were visible. His movements were restricted, his reactions slower, and his usual command over rallies had disappeared. The crowd knew it, Sinner knew it, Djokovic knew it, and perhaps for the first time he couldn't find a way around it. For over 15 years, Djokovic has defied physical pain and mental fatigue like few others. He has outlasted the best players across 3 generations. He was in the Big 3 when Federer and Nadal were active, and now he has been in the Big 3 where over 15 years younger Sinner and Alcaraz are on top of their game. When the margins were tight, he would find a way to stretch them. When momentum shifted, he would yank it back. His ability to adapt, to dig deep, and to respond to pressure has defined his career. But against Sinner, there was no plan B, no deep reservoir of endurance to draw from, no escape. What we saw instead was a version of Djokovic we rarely see, outpaced, outmatched, and unable to impose himself. Sinner was excellent, no doubt. Composed, aggressive, and clinical. He played with the belief of a man stepping into his prime, seizing a moment he had earned. But even he seemed to know something was off. His celebration was subdued. There was no wild roar or leap into the air. It was as if he too realized this wasn't a normal victory over Djokovic. It was something else. A passing of the torch, perhaps not explicitly given, but silently understood. Djokovic fought as he always does. He broke early in the 3rd set, briefly lighting up the crowd, but the lead slipped away just as quickly. The body would not cooperate. The legs would not fire. The grimace on his face after missed forehands. The long pauses between points. The look in his eyes. It all painted the same picture. Not a man defeated by an opponent, but a man confronting his own limits. After the match, he didn't hide. He didn't blame the injury, but he did acknowledge the weight of the moment. I had quite a problem physically. It wasn't a pleasant feeling on the court, he said. But I don't want to talk about the injury in detail. I want to congratulate him on a great game. He was too strong. That humility was characteristic, but what followed was something we don't often hear from Djokovic. Reality has hit me like never before, he admitted, and then came the line that carried the weight of 1,000 grueling matches. It's difficult for me to play in 3 sets won. The longer the tournament goes on, the harder it is for me. I reach the semifinals, I play with Sinner and Alcaraz, and they are fresh and sharpened, while I enter the match with half a tank. This reaction was honest, and he was recognizing a fundamental shift. For most of his career, Djokovic has entered slams with a near mythical level of preparation and conditioning. He didn't just play the game, he optimized it. Diet, flexibility, meditation, sleep, training. Every aspect of his life life was engineered toward one thing, winning the biggest titles in tennis, and for over a decade it worked better than anyone could have imagined. But now, despite that same level of commitment, the results are different. The body doesn't recover as it once did, injuries linger longer, the legs don't spring with the same energy, and in a field increasingly dominated by younger, faster, more explosive players like Alcaraz and Sinner, those small declines become decisive. The last 18 months have painted a new picture. In 2023, Djokovic was still defying time, winning 3 of the 4 Grand Slams and reaching the final of the 4th. It was a season that reaffirmed his GOAT status and silenced whispers of decline. But 2024 and 2025 have been different. Not catastrophic, but noticeably more fragile. He pulled out of Madrid with an elbow issue. He looked undercooked at Roland Garros and exited in the quarterfinals. At Wimbledon, he came in already managing a leg injury. The signs are not isolated situations, they are a cumulative effect of his years and years of top performances. And Grand Slams, more than any other stage, demand cumulative greatness. They demand endurance, adaptability, and sustained intensity over 2 weeks and 7 matches. Djokovic used to thrive in those conditions. Now they're his biggest challenge. Yet despite all this, there is something in him that refuses to fade. After the match, he said, "I hope this is not my last match at the Central Stadium. I would like to come back at least one more time." That's not just sentiment, that's the intent. He still wants it, he still believes in himself. But there is a difference now between belief and expectation. He talks often about his lifestyle, his discipline, and the deep investment he still makes in keeping his body sharp. "I dedicate a lot of time to my body," he said. "I don't do it just as an obligation, but I also see it as a way of life, that healthy life. I love that wellness world. I'm always open-minded, curious to implement some new things that can take my body and mind to a higher level." That mindset hasn't changed, but his body no longer rewards him for his hard work. It says it's enough. The fire is still there, so is the focus. What's changed is the certainty. Djokovic no longer steps into a slam as the clear favorite. He steps in as part of a group, one of the contenders. Not the inevitable force, but a legendary one with something to prove again. And that is both a humbling and daunting place to be. So does he still have it in him? The answer is maybe. Maybe he has one more in him. One last run. A tournament where the draw opens up, the body holds together, and the mental steel that has carried him this far clicks back into place. But that maybe is a world away from the "of course" we used to give. And the maybe is not about his technique, talent, or mentality, but his fitness. The maybe is also the new big two in Sinner and Alcaraz, who show no mercy and wipe the floor with anyone who faces them. That kind of challenge seems too much for Novak, as he simply cannot compete with these two. Djokovic's legacy is unshakable. He has rewritten the record books, transformed the physical standards of the sport, and set a new benchmark for excellence. He doesn't need another slam to prove anything, but for someone who has always defined himself by doing the impossible, walking away before trying again might feel unfinished. Still, this Wimbledon felt like the beginning of a new chapter. Not a final one, necessarily, but a different one. One where every match carries a bit more weight, every setback hits a bit harder, and every victory, should it come, will mean even more. Because for the first time, Djokovic is not just playing the opponent across the net, he's playing time, and that even for him might be the toughest match of all.